What is up, everybody, and welcome back to one of the final episodes of the season of the All Things Liverpool podcast. It has been me, Anish, Dogra, for the whole season and for a few more weeks for the remainder of this campaign. And here we are. That's it. The last game of the season. It's been an incredible campaign, full of highs, lows, lots of drama, like any other good Premier League season, where where the only thing that is predictable is that everything is unpredictable. And it's been a wonderful season where hopefully there is one more final, two more final moments of joy for us as Liverpool supporters. But just in general, for like the whole of the final day, there's so much still riding on it, and it's actually taken me back to exactly 10 years ago with the Aguero moment, of course, against QPR. How could we all forget? But on that day in general, I think top four was still to play for on that occasion. I remember Newcastle, Tottenham, and Arsenal competing for two of the fourth Champions League spots. Relegation, of course. I think Wigan. Well, I think Wigan were in the Premier League, and they usually are involved. Were involved on the final day. I think Bolton were there. I think Stoke were as well. Couple of other teams too. So there was a lot to play for relegation, and it's the same again this season. Of course, with the title, City involved again, but this time with Liverpool rather than Manchester United. Top four, which it kind of looks like a foregone conclusion. Sadly, I was really rooting for Arsenal this season, given how well they've done for the majority of the campaign, and the likes of Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, and all the young players who have done really, really well. But sadly, I think the pressure has got to them, which is understandable. They are young players and they are going to be inconsistent. But I think Arsenal, they got to believe that something can happen. And Tottenham being Tottenham, of course, now this is a different Tottenham team with Conte at the helm and Son and Kane at the top of their game. You would like to think they can get the job done and come up against Norwich, which is the worst team, for probably one of the worst teams ever in English football history. So Tottenham, should get it done, but you never know. And then of course the relegation. So Everton are safe now after their win last night against Palace. Really well done to them. And in fact, I'm glad they stayed up because to not have a Merseyside derby next season, it would have been a real shame. It's always been a fixture in English football, really. Everton, I think they're the longest serving team in top 5 history. Never been relegated from the Premier League. Same with Liverpool. So again, we'll be looking forward to 2 more Merseyside derbies next season. But that of course leaves Leeds and Burnley to play for. And going into the final day, level on points, both teams. I think Burnley are above them right now, but that's based on goal difference. So ideally, they probably wouldn't need the win. But difficult game they've got against Newcastle, who are of course in form and showed that they are no pushovers anymore under Eddie Howe. And of course Leeds, they don't have an easy task either going to Brighton. So lots to play for on the final day, lots of excitement. But let's begin with the week that's happened, and we'll start off with the events that happened roughly 7 days ago, last Saturday at Wembley Stadium, or as Liverpool fans and myself like to call it, Anfield South, given how many trips we've made there in history, and the fact we've done it again this season, going there 3 times, and of course winning on all 3 occasions. And it was a very, very important win again, and a wonderful, wonderful win as well. I thought, compared to the Carabao Cup final against Chelsea, where I felt we were quite maybe a bit fortunate to win it. Yes, we had our chances in that game. I thought Diaz was really good in the game in February. Salah had some good chances. I remember he tried to chip Mendy, but the shot went just wide. I think Mane had a good chance or two, but Chelsea, they probably should have won that game. They had, I thought, 3 or 4 goals that were ruled out for offside. And I think the one I mentioned it last week, just before we previewed, when we were previewing the game, that the Lukaku one where it was touch and go for it being offside. In my opinion, I thought it was on, and I still think he was on, but didn't get the luck on that occasion. And we came out eventual winners, and on that occasion, it went right to the death on penalties. Kelleher, kept his cool and put it into the net, and Kepa put his over the bar. And in fact, probably both keepers maybe could have done better in terms of saving penalties, because when you get to 11 each, you'd like to think your goalkeeper could make 1 or 2 saves, but they couldn't. But luckily for us, our keeper kept his cool. But going into the FA Cup final, at the time, of course, it was actually, I think, quite a nervy. I mean, you could probably tell I was quite nervous last week when at the time we weren't playing particularly well. I felt that the wheels were kind of coming off. We looked a bit slower. We looked like our energy was draining. Understandably, of course, we have played. I mean, I think we're the first team ever to play all 63 matches this season. Of course, 38 in the Premier League, 13 in the Champions League. And however many there are in the FA Cup and Carabao Cup. But the point is, we've got to the last stages of all three of those tournaments where you can go to a final. So yeah, you can tell the players looked a bit tired. They looked a bit leggy. Against Tottenham, I thought Tottenham performance was really good, but we found it a bit difficult to break them down. Aston Villa, we kind of huffed and puffed. I thought maybe we were a bit fortunate to come away with 3 points. They had more than one good opportunity to get more goals in that game. And against and I think that was it. But against Chelsea, we were reinvigorated. Whether it was the fans and with all the pyro and the flares and all the red smoke that was in the Anfield in the Liverpool end corner, maybe that gave them a lift. And the fact that it is a cup final. At the end of the day, it's the first time in 10 years that those Liverpool players are in a cup final. In fact, I think only Jordan Henderson is the only surviving member of that team who played Chelsea in 2012. And of course, the first team in 18 years now to win the tournament. 2006 was the last time we lifted the trophy. Of course, the Steven Gerrard final, as is well known now, when he got that rocket against West Ham to take us extra time, and then we won on penalties. But the players were really, really good at, and in fact, compared to the Carabao Cup final, where we were perhaps fortunate to win, and fortunate for it to go to penalties. On this occasion, we were unfortunate for it to go to penalties because I really felt we should have won the match. I thought Diaz was unbelievable. I mean, I think every episode I've done so far where since he signed, I don't think I've not mentioned him. In fact, yeah, I think he's been in my. He's come out of my mouth every single time because. I mean, well, you can't not talk about him because he's been unbelievable. The way he beats a player, the way he takes a man on, and he looks so comfortable with his teammates. I mean, it looks like he's been playing with this Liverpool team since the first day Jurgen Klopp arrived. But he's still settling in, and my God, what a talent he's going to be next season when he's got a preseason under his belt, and of course a nice summer break. So unbelievable performance from him. I thought Mane was exceptional as well. I'm really, really enjoying him now in this new position as centre forward, false nine, or the actual number 9. But in that position, in that central role, he's absolutely lethal. I mean, there was never any doubt in terms of his finishing, and in terms of his general quality. But what's impressing me the most is his tactical awareness in that position. Because ever since Klopp came, that position has belonged to Firmino, and rightly so, because Bobby Firmino has been the linchpin in Jurgen Klopp and the way we've played over the last couple of years, because of the way he the way he opens up defenses and the way he links up with the wide players or the wide forwards. But now you look at Mane in that role where he's converted from that wide forward to now a central figure. He's doing everything Bobby does, the way he passes, the way he produces a little bit of skill here and there, the accuracy of his passing, the vision, and of course, most importantly, the pressing and the tracking back, which is something Bobby does and is still doing. So Mane, really impressive in that centre forward role, and I think that could be his position maybe next season. Now, obviously, with his contract, that's something that needs to be sorted out with a year left. In fact, this might be the last time we see him in a Liverpool shirt, depending what the club do, because obviously year left on his contract now. We don't want to lose him for free in 2023. I mean, firstly, 8th in terms of the play. Imagine some other club picking up someone like Sadio Mane for free. What a signing that would be. And secondly, as well, the money we would lose in terms of a transfer value. If we sold him this summer, we could easily get 80 million, maybe even up to 100, perhaps even more, depending on if this talk of a Ballon d'Or keeps on going. And he helps us win the Champions League and maybe the Premier League. So yeah, decisions to be made off the pitch for Mane. But for the time being, unbelievable displays, really, really good, really encouraging, and a reason why he's being discussed to win the Ballon d'Or. And then, of course, that on the right, Salah looked good. Unfortunate to come off with that injury, but I think he'll be fit and ready for Sunday against Wolves, and hopefully, in fact, almost definitely, I would expect him to be playing against Real Madrid next Saturday in the Champions League final. But even then, when he came off, Jota came on, looks great. as he has been all season, looked dangerous, looked sharp, and did everything that I expected Jota to do and everything that we have seen Jota do this season. So all really good from him. So for the front three, excellent. They were really positive, really energetic. Naby Keita and Thiago in midfield, fantastic also. Really broke up the play well, won tackles, played passes, looked good in creating attacks. Again, as you'd expect. And Jordan Henderson in that defensive midfield role. I mean, I'm really enjoying him now again in that number 6. Of course, when Fabinho came in, it allowed Henderson to be a bit more freer to push on and go forward, which he's still more than capable of doing now, even though he's in his 30s. But when he has to revert back to that role, the calmness and the composure he can bring in that position, a player like that, they often get overlooked because they don't score goals or they don't create assists. But I'm not comparing him to Sergio Busquets, but I'll refer to Sergio Busquets because that position requires the most intellect on the pitch compared to any other position, because you need to know how to receive the ball for one thing, because when you're in the middle of the park, you get no time to breathe for starters. So you got to be aware of your position at all times, know who's around you. You got to move into a correct space, into the right space where you can receive the ball, and where your teammate can make a simple pass for them to make and for you to receive. And then of course being quick on the ball, moving it fast to the left or to the right, or picking one out over the top. Recycling possession, keeping the ball, and that's something Henderson's always done really well. And I think, in fact, we're seeing it even more so in the last couple of weeks, and something to keep an eye on. In fact, I expect him to play against Wolves on Sunday. He was rested in midweek, well, briefly rested after Joe Gomez was injured against Southampton. Then Milner went to right back, and Henderson came on into defensive mid. But expect that to happen on Sunday against Wolves. I don't think Fabinho will be back for that game, but I do expect him to be back for the Champions League final, and I think we all do. I think Klopp said it himself that he will be fit for the Champions League final. And then from that point, it's really a choice, isn't it? If Klopp decides to bring in Fabinho, which ordinarily you would sign because he is unbelievable, but given the circumstances, he's not played now for 2 or 3 weeks. He's obviously lost match fitness, and obviously it's a massive game. But Henderson, of course, has been playing really well. And it wouldn't surprise me if Henderson does start in that game ahead of Fabinho. But something we'll see, and something we'll talk about in greater detail next week when we preview the Champions League final. But Henderson in that FA Cup final, really good, really positive. And then, of course, the fullbacks, Robertson, excellent again. Trent, really, really good. His deliveries were exceptional. And Konate and Van Dijk, absolutely imperious in defence. So really good displays, really strong performances. Of course, Chelsea had the opportunities. And as you would expect, Chelsea, Arsenal, an excellent club, excellent players, really, really strong team. And yet they not had the greatest of campaigns, with what's gone on all season long with obviously with Lukaku and the words he said in the middle of the season, not competing for the league title, of course losing the Carabao Cup to us, the Champions League exit, and the manner of that defeat. Because I think if everyone looked at that game, look back at that game again, you would say that Chelsea deserved to beat Real Madrid and should have beaten Real Madrid. Really, the amount of chances they created. And the only reason why they lost that game was a mistake in the first leg when Benzema got his hat-trick, an error between Mendy and Rudiger where they didn't really clear the ball. And in the second leg, in fact, it wasn't even really a mistake. Real Madrid's first goal, unbelievable pass by Luka Modric, one of the best I've seen in a long time. And then the second, again, Rudiger just unfortunately losing his footing. And if he doesn't slip, he probably gets to that header before Benzema does. So moments like that, it has gone against Chelsea this season. And of course, with the Roman Abramovich stuff and Chelsea needing a new owner, that's of course taking its toll. And players obviously leaving. Christensen is pretty much gone. Rudiger is definitely gone. And in fact, I think I've read some stuff about Azpilicueta in recent weeks that he still wants to go, even though Chelsea triggered his 1-year extension. So it's been a lot of problems on and off the pitch for the whole club. But they still showed up on Saturday. I still thought they were a threat. You couldn't count them out for one second with the players they had on the pitch. Pulisic, of course, he's done okay since he come to Chelsea, but he does have a good record against us and does like playing against us. Mason Mount, of course, great player. One of my favorite players at Chelsea and one of my favorite players for England. Lukaku, I thought was a bit disappointing, but even then, in the first half, I was keeping an eye on him. Every time an aerial ball went towards him, he won every one of his headers, and that's not something he often does against Van Dijk. In years gone by, when I've seen Van Dijk go up against Lukaku, whether it was in a Chelsea shirt, whether it was in a Manchester United shirt, Van Dijk would pretty much win those headers every single time, but not on that occasion, not in the cup final. So Lukaku, in the first half, won a lot of headers, but none of his players were on the same wavelength. And I think that's been a problem this season in Chelsea and the other players. Similarly with Lukaku, they've not been able to gel together and not been able to figure out each other's style of play. So he did okay, but kind of faded out. Chelsea, that basically summed up their season. A lot of promise, some good moments, but ultimately just falling short at the last hurdle. But hopefully for their sake, their owner situation gets sorted out really soon. And in fact, they need to now, or with the season pretty much coming to an end, or for them, the season is technically over now. They've got nothing to play for. But for the transfer market, obviously, it's going to be open very, very soon in June. And obviously, with no World Cup happening this summer, it gives clubs much more time for players to rest up, recover, and for behind the scenes for business to be done. So Chelsea got a lot of work to do, and hopefully for their sake, they'll sort it out. But for us, FA Cup, another piece of silver. I mean, what more can you ask for Liverpool fans? I mean, from where we were under Roy Hodgson and the latter years of Rafa Benitez, after after like the last year or two where we didn't win anything, Hicks and Gillette and Brendan Rodgers, and even though Kenny Dalglish is a legend and did win us a Carabao Cup, things were still not particularly good. But now where we are under Jurgen Klopp, one of the best teams in the world, if not the best team, up there with Real Madrid and Man City, in my opinion. The way the football we're playing, the quality of players, and the way Jurgen Klopp has got a tune out of every single one of these players, it's remarkable, and it's thoroughly deserved why we won the FA Cup, because of the determination, the grit, the desire. And again, everyone was talking about how tired they looked in the games leading up to the FA Cup final, but it completely wiped. You couldn't tell they were tired in that FA Cup performance. They were dominant, they were impressive, aggressive, every acronym you can think of, and deserved to win it. And then in the FA Cup final, all the players kept their cool. Of course, Mane unfortunately missed, but now I've thought about it a couple of times. I'm not really surprised, because his teammate, international teammate Edouard Mendy for Senegal, he's seen Mane take penalties in practice. He's seen Mane take penalties, of course, in that World Cup playoff against Egypt, and of course in the AFCON final. So he knows which way Mane likes to shoot. He knows how Mane takes the penalties, and it's not really surprised that Mendy saved it. But Tsimikas, the Greek Scouser, and he is now the Greek hero. Kept his cool, scored the penalty. Of course, shout out to Addison as well for making an unbelievable stop to deny Mason Mount just before that. So unbelievable effort from the players. And Henderson summed it up perfectly after a full time. He was being questioned by a reporter, and I think the reporter asked him, were you feeling a bit tired, because they kind of felt that way. And credit to Henderson, he opened up and he said, yeah, we are kind of feeling the effects of it. But now with that FA Cup win. In fact, sorry, that quote from Henderson was after the Southampton game, which we'll get on to next. But the point is, Henderson openly admitted that, the players were feeling tired, but that FA Cup win has now given such a boost, I think, both to the players, it's given them, that the extra endorphins they need, and to the fan base as well, because I don't know about you guys, but for me, I am getting, it's getting quite draining now watching Liverpool, and it's getting, quite emotionally and physically, not stressful isn't the right word, but it's getting quite a lot. And you kind of you're not looking forward to the end of the season, because when the season does end, it's going to be pretty awful for the next few months until August, when the season starts again. But at the same time, you're looking forward to a break, and there's still a few more hurdles to go, and hopefully we can get past the next two. So that was the FA Cup. Wonderful success. Great victory. Another one to add to the trophy cabinet. Another number to increase on the Champions Wall. That's now 8 FA Cups, which, of course, nowhere near the record. I think Arsenal still hold it. They're on 11 or 12 or something like that. But great to have in the cabinet, and really, really great feeling to have our hands on that trophy after 16 years. And then that, of course, leads on to the game in midweek against Southampton. So wholesale changes, which I think were widely expected. I'm pretty sure everyone knew Klopp was going to make changes, both in terms of the players who played on Saturday in 120 minutes. And of course, we've got to forget the weather that day. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. But for players playing in those conditions where it's sunny, it's like 20 degrees. And of course, on that Wembley turf, I don't think there's much breeze, of course, going on, and there's no there's no specific air conditioning underneath the pitch for players to remain cool. So really, really testing conditions for them. And obviously, it would have taken its toll. So Van Dijk and Salah weren't going to play. They came off in that game through injury, which not a surprise that they were rested. Of course, only little knocks, but you don't need to risk them, especially with the other games coming up. And the other players as well. I think Mane was rested. Got a complete rest. He wasn't even in the squad. Diaz was on the bench, didn't play. Didn't come on. Beg your pardon. Trent Arnold. I don't think he was injured. It was one of the two fullbacks. I can't remember who. It was either Robertson or Trent. But either way, neither of them played. Tsimikas and Gomez came in. Van Dijk, of course, was a bit injured, so Joel Matip came in this occasion. And in midfield, we saw Harvey Elliott make a start after a long time. Curtis Jones was given a rare appearance. James Milner, I think, started the match. So pretty much, I think there was 9 changes in total. In fact, yeah, there was, because only Konate and Alisson started the cup final. I know Jota came on quite early, pretty much played from the 30th minute on till the end of the match. But yeah, technically wasn't the starter, so Jota came in too. But that's the point I'm making about the FA Cup, about giving those players the belief. And you can see that in the game against Southampton. Yes, unfortunately, we went 1-0 down, but the goal should never happen either for 2 reasons. Number one, it was a foul on Jota. Terrible call again by whoever the referee is. I don't know who he is. And I can't be bothered to know his name because they're all much for muchness, in my opinion. So should have been given a free kick, but didn't. And then, conceding, and then, on the counter-attack, of course, Southampton were always going to try their luck and try and win the game. But even then, Redmond, don't get me wrong, did well to cut inside of Gomez and of James Milner. But if it doesn't take that deflection off Milner, Alisson saves it. So 2 bits of, two moments of, unfortunateness where, things didn't go away. But even then, it was early on. It was in the 10th or 11th minute. Lots of time to take control, take command, and that's exactly what happened. And even then, with 9 players on the pitch, with Harvey Elliott not starting for the first time in God knows how many weeks or months, same with Minamino, same with Curtis Jones, they still did unbelievably well. And Bobby Firmino, in fact, Bobby Firmino, another one, just came back from injury, came on against Chelsea. I think he came on the game before that as well, and then obviously started on Tuesday. Unbelievable display, and the Firmino that we all know and love, the Firmino that we have seen over the last 5, 6, 7 years, with his interlinking, his little touches, little flicks, little beautiful moments of skill, and that's what we saw pretty much on the whole game on Tuesday. And he was wonderful to watch, and it's still great to see that he's still got a little bit left. I think we can all agree as Liverpool fans that Bobby is kind of slowing down now, which completely understandable given the intensity that he's put in a Liverpool show over the last 5, 6 years. He never stops, and he's basically 100 miles an hour from the first minute to last. So even Firmino this season has been injured quite often. In fact, probably the most he's ever been injured in a Liverpool shirt. But came in on Tuesday, unbelievable, wonderful display. And then the other player as well, I thought Harvey Elliott was wonderful. I mean, the fact that he's only 18 years old and he put in that kind of performance, I mean, this kid is going to be very, very special. So I look forward to seeing him more often next season. He'll have obviously a good preseason under his belt. Touchwood, hopefully, no big injuries. Was so unlucky against Leeds earlier this campaign. In fact, he was literally right about to come off, but had that horrific ankle injury which kept him out for about 3 or 4 months. So hopefully nothing like that next season, and he'll have a strong preseason, good campaign, and more time to develop under Klopp. So yeah, even then against Southampton, great display, lots of composure, lots of quality, decision making as well, which is something as a teenager you can get wrong from time to time, which is understandable because you're still developing, you're still learning. But more often than not, played the right pass, played the good pass, executed it very well. So wonderful display from him. And Minamino, I was so happy for him. Of course, that was probably the last player I expected to see in the starting lineup. I thought there were going to be changes in that front three, so I wasn't surprised to see Firmino and Jota come in. I thought Diaz would have started again, but Mino coming in, I thought maybe even Origi could have started, but he started. Taki did so well, took his goal unbelievably well, and I should respect Southampton, which was nice to see. Of course, spent the last half of last season there on loan, but a wonderfully taken goal, brilliant finish, and deserves it more than anyone. And in fact, there was like a stat they put up, Sky Sports, where he's got the best goals to minute ratio than any player this season. I think he averages a goal every 100 minutes or something like that, which is essentially every game pretty much, because obviously matches them 90 minutes. So wonderful to see from him. That's now his 10th goal or 11th goal in all competitions, and every goal he scored has been vital. And I think he came out as a top scorer in both cup competitions, in the Carabao Cup and FA Cup, and it's a big reason why we won it, because of his goals in the early rounds. And against Southampton, who knows how valuable that goal could be. Getting level on terms, scoring the equaliser, and bringing us back on terms going into the break. And then in the second half, again, pretty much what we saw from the first half. Southampton scored in the opening period, but again, comes down to luck and obviously a deflection. But we dominated the game from first minute to last. Got the winning goal. Joel Matip again. He's been really good this season in terms of goals from defense. And in fact, that's something I'll probably touch up upon in a second. But great header, guided it very well. A little bit of luck, because I think Carragher said on commentary that the player cleared it onto Matip's forehead, and then it looped in over the keeper. So a little bit of luck, but then of course they got luck for their goal, so it only makes it fair that we got a bit of luck for our goal. His third or fourth goal this season, and that's something which has been really, really big this season for us in all of our games. Where last season, of course, when we had our defensive crisis, lost Gomez, lost Van Dijk, lost Joel Matip. And a big part of our play is, of course, set pieces. I think we're one of the top teams this season, maybe even the top team from goals from set pieces. And that comes down to the aerial ability of our defenders. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think I did the maths. I think 10 or 11 goals this season our centre-backs have scored in all competitions. I think Konate's got about 3. I don't think Gomez has scored, but I think Van Dijk has got about 3 or 4. And same with Joel Matip. So 10 to 12 goals those guys have scored, and they've been huge. And when you can have defenders that can contribute to 10 extra goals a season, it will go so far for you. And that's been the case this season. Konate scoring in that the FA Cup semi-final against Man City, which proved to be the kind of the winning goal. And then Joel Matip, the winner against Southampton. I think he scored as well. I think the other week too. So getting goals here and there. Van Dijk scored once or twice in important games as well. So really big to have those defenders. Obviously, they're unbelievable defenders, and their job is of course to keep clean sheets and to keep attacks to a minimum. But going forward from corners and the delivery of Trent and Robertson, or even on this occasion it was Tsimikas, who was a more than capable deputy. The quality they can bring from set pieces and from corners is really, really beneficial for us. And when you got those guys in the box, they can always get a goal for you. So great to see Joel Matip score, and a great win. Of course, West Ham did us a pretty good favor. Of course, could have been even better had they won. But thinking about it now, a draw is basically as good as a win, really, because let's say West Ham had won and we did our job and won. That would have meant Man City would have been on 89 points, the same as us, and they would have had a goal difference of 70, and we have a goal difference of 66. I'm just looking at it right now on the table. So that means we still would have been second on goal difference. Still would have kind of needed a favour from Aston Villa, because even if Man City had won, it's highly unlikely on final days that a team wins by big score lines. I've only ever seen a couple of times. So for us, to maybe try and beat Wolves like 6-0, 7-0, it just wouldn't happen. And pretty much because Wolves are a very good team. Of course, they lost 5-1 to Man City, but I mean, in fact, I should probably rephrase that. They lost to Kevin De Bruyne. They didn't lose to Man City. They lost to Kevin De Bruyne masterclass. 4 goals, 4 world-class goals. I mean, what more can you do, really? He's one of the best players in the world, maybe the best. there's an argument to say that. Definitely, in my opinion, the best player in the league. So when you come up against De Bruyne, sometimes you've got to say, yeah, put your hands up and say, wow, what a player. So they will be a tough team. They aren't going to be easy. They will, be resolute, and they've not conceded many goals this season. I think at one point they were up there with us and Man City for the best defense in the league. Of course, those 5 goals against Man City has dented their defensive record a bit, but they're still very hard to break down. And it'll be highly unlikely we beat Wolves 5-6-0. So going back onto that Man City result against West Ham, had they lost, it still kind of would have meant that we need Aston Villa to do something for us on Sunday. And in fact, I think, I will bring on to that topic in a minute, because, it's obviously too big not to talk about, given who's involved, the players, and of course, the manager, which, you don't need any reminder who's in charge. So I'll get on to that in a second. But West Ham did us a good favour, got 2 goals. Jarrod Bowen, really showcasing why he wants that Liverpool move. Of course, he's been heavily linked this season to join us next campaign, and come in over the summer. So hopefully that happens. I would love it if that happens. I've been seeing on Twitter quite a lot that a lot of fans last season, because we were also heavily linked with Jarrod Bowen last season, they didn't want him, but my mantra and my belief now is that if Liverpool want him, if Klopp wants him, I want him, because you look at Liverpool's track record with signings. When can you honestly say they made a bad signing? I'll even say Loris Karius was a good signing, because he cost £5 million, so very little to lose and a lot to gain. So £5 million, we didn't really go wrong. Even though he kind of lost us the Champions League final, but again, £5 million doesn't really matter. So the track record of our signings and our history has been fantastic. And if Bowen came last summer, I would have been thrilled. If Bowen comes this summer, we'll be even more thrilled, given the campaign he's had. I think he's one of like 2 or 3 players this season who have reached double digits for goals and assists. So lots of quality. And in terms of the profile, 25 years old. So that's the kind of age and number we go for, where a player has got, some development already in him, but can go on and become even better. Like we're seeing with Diaz, for example. So hopefully he's a Liverpool player next season. So Bowen did great. West Ham did great. Fabianski, of course, saving that penalty from Mahrez. And if Man City had won that game, then it definitely would have been over. So now going into the last game of the season, 1 point in it. And that's all you can ask for, really, as a Liverpool fan. Given where we were on the 15th of January, where Man City had beaten Chelsea 1-0, they were 14 points clear of us. 14 points clear. And yes, we had 2 games in hand. One of them, which was the following day against Brentford, which we won 3-0 and got it back down to 11. And then the second one was against Leeds, which we got it down to 8. So even then, 8-point gap is still absolutely massive. And had Man City kept on winning, which, they are more than capable of doing, then the title would have been over 2 or 3 weeks ago. But City, they dropped points against Tottenham. They, of course, we did as well, but Tottenham did us a bigger favour by winning that match. Southampton obviously got a good draw against them at home. West Crystal Palace as well got a good draw, and now West Ham. So going into the final day, we're in the hunt, and that's all you can ask for. At the beginning of the campaign, I thought, given what we had, what happened last season, I thought, okay, let's just try to remain in the hunt, because I think all of us thought this season Chelsea were going to be at it, given how good Tuchel is as a coach and the fact they won the Champions League and they signed Lukaku. It looked like they would be up there. And Manchester United, of course, last season finished second, had another good year of progress under Ole, and this summer was a really big one. Bringing back Ronaldo, signing Jadon Sancho, who was at the time really like the hot property across Europe, and Rafa Varane, which the career he's had at Real Madrid, multiple Champions Leagues, multiple La Ligas, and of course with France winning the World Cup. So we all thought Man United would be there as well. So going into the season, I thought, okay, there's going to be 3 really big teams there, three teams who are going to really challenge for the title. So I thought, let's remain in the hunt and see what happens. Let's keep going and see where we are. But of course, those 2 clubs fell away, and we've just we've kind of just really taken over and really done well. And again, even though we were 14 points behind, we've done unbelievably well to claw that back. We went on a 10-game winning run, and that's what really boosted us. So you never know. You never know what will happen against Sunday. And of course, coming against Wolves, like I just briefly mentioned, won't be an easy game. But I do expect us to go back as strong as possible for that match. So Van Dijk, I expect to play. Robbo and Trent at fullbacks. Whoever partners Van Dijk doesn't really matter because they're all as good as each other, whether it's Konate, Matip, or Gomez. So whoever plays more than good enough. Henderson, I expect will start again. Thiago and Keita, I would think would come in. Salah, I think, will play as well because I saw him in pictures of training today. So he's had today to train. He'll have tomorrow to train as well. And hopefully that's good enough for him to be in the starting 11 against Wolves. And then for the attack, Jota, Mane, and Diaz, I expect to return as well. So hopefully we'll go. I mean, not hopefully. I expect us to go as strong as possible and to get the job done. And beat Wolves and try and get on 92 points. And then that, of course, leads us to the events at the Etihad. So with the state of play right now, let's say, these are the permutations. So if we win, we go to 92 points. And that means Aston Villa need to either draw or beat Man City, and we will be champions. If we draw against Wolves and Villa beat Man City, then it won't be enough because of goal difference. And, of course, if we lose, then it's definitely over, irrespective of Man City do. So, Aston Villa, Steven Gerrard, Philip Coutinho, Danny Ings. I mean, you can see with the smile on my face, I've got a little bit of hope, obviously, with those players and the history they got with Liverpool. Gerrard, namely, of course, the greatest player to ever wear the shirt, in my opinion, and I don't think many of you would disagree. Danny Ings, who was so unfortunate in his time at the club, had two really big injuries that kind of like curtailed his career at Anfield, and before that he had a pretty good record. I remember he was like a 3-7 or 3-8 before he got that big injury. So did show signs of being a good player, but sadly that injury really knocked back his his confidence and his start of play. But more than enough quality, and he did score against us in that game. We played against Villa, of course. It was offside, but great finish, and nothing that I wasn't surprised about because he is a really good striker of the ball. And of course, Coutinho, didn't leave Anfield in very good circumstances. I think we've all kind of moved on from it, of course. Given what we've achieved in the last few years and the money that was used for Coutinho when signing Alisson and Van Dijk. Talk about money well spent. And when we played Villa, I don't think Coutinho got booed or jeered by the traveling Liverpool supporters. So clearly shows, there's no hard feelings there, and a feeling of respect. And Coutinho, he could make himself the Liverpool legend. He always wanted to. If he scores a goal, makes a goal, or helps Villa get a draw or better. So let's see what he can do. And of course, Steven Gerrard, I'm pretty sure he's sick to death with the amount of talk that's going on, with the amount of questions he's been asked in press conferences and by the media. But it's of course understandable given his ties with Liverpool. But I thought he answered the questions very well. I think he had a press conference today where he talked about winning the points, but of course mentioning it for Aston Villa. I can't remember the exact quote, but he said, "We want to win these points for Aston Villa because we want to show Aston Villa fans, the club, everyone associated with the team that we are a successful side." So, of course, putting Aston Villa top, as he should be, because that is his club, that is who he's managing, that is who he is representing. But, of course, Gerrard being Gerrard, he couldn't resist a little comment in the end where he said, if these points, obviously do well for Aston Villa, hopefully in turn it will do something for Liverpool. So, at the back of his mind, of course he's thinking about it. Of course he wants it to happen. But when he's got that Aston Villa tie, that red and claret, that claret and blue tie, he will be representing the club and wanting to do well for them. So let's hope it can happen. I mean, it's football at the end of the day, and that's why we all love it so much, because it's so unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. I mean, could you imagine if Aston Villa beat Man City and we only draw against Wolves? Could you imagine the heartbreak then and the drama? But it's why we love the game, because you never know what will happen and you never know what's going to occur. So that's it for the Wolves preview. Hopefully we do our job. We can get to 92 points. And even if you get to 92 points, you don't win the title, it's still been an unbelievable campaign. And, from where we were last season, scraping to get into top four, needing Alisson to score us that goal away to West Brom. Nat Phillips and Reece Williams at the back. What a photo that was on the final day of last season with those cuts and scars. absolute heroes they are, to where we are now, where we're back at the top of the league, or near enough at the top, competing for major honors, winning 2, could win a 3rd. Parade, of course, confirmed on the way, irrespective of what happens this Sunday and what happens next Saturday. So it's been a wonderful time, and the greatest thing, obviously, to take away from this season and from every year under Jurgen Klopp is that we are guaranteed to be challenging for everything for the next 4 years, obviously until his contract ends in 2026, and the rest of the league, they got to be scared for us, scared about us, because we are an incredible club and we have an incredible manager. So it's a big smile on there'll be a big smile on my face when I host this show again next week, where we would be Premier League champions for the 2nd time and league champions for the 20th time, and then of course previewing the Real Madrid game, and where we could potentially eclipse everyone by being the quadruple winners. So let's see what happens. Hope you all enjoy this podcast, and we'll see you all next week. Bye bye.